Hello my friends all over the world. William Poloniak here again from Whole Health Foundation. And today I'm making a special juice that we might as well call Garden Harvest because it's mostly greens from my garden: beets, ginger, garlic, turmeric, and carrots. Let's take a look at my ingredients. Today my juice was dictated by what's available in my garden. Here I have about 8 large healthy collard leaves, a handful of watercress, carrots of course, ginger, 1 cucumber, a handful of dandelion, red Swiss chard, some beets, about 8 zucchinis, and a kale, French sorrel, a whole head of garlic, and some turmeric. Well, let's start making juice, and we'll start with my greens. Now I want to point out that I'm making juice with my front-loading feed tube that eliminates blowback up to your ceiling. If you do get blowback, it might be 1 or 2 inches out the front, but you're not going to get the mess you would with a straight up and down feed tube. And I'm also using my near zero blowback cutter that shreds produce 40 degrees Fahrenheit cooler because of the many teeth, about 80 teeth. So the first thing I'll do is install my cutter. And then I'm going to plug in my thermometer. And we'll start by shredding some ice cubes to cool down the cutter. Now, the trick with ice cubes to cool down the feed tube is to go very slowly because you don't want the cold to shoot through into the bowl. You want it to transfer to the cutter and to the feed tube. So next I'm going to start with French sorrel. I want to point a couple things out. This cutter does such a good job that you're going to be tempted to put in more greens than you should. You should put less greens in as it's more effective shredding your greens. So let's start again with some French sorrel. Here's the last of my French sorrel. And my temperature is up to 32, so 3 more ice cubes. Keep your eye on the temperature. Put in your ice cubes whenever it's above 20. You could go as high as 40 or 45, but I like to keep my temperature in the 20s. Now some beets. Collard greens. I'll roll that up into a tube. And again, if you get a jam, jump start it. Now I'm going to put in my watercress and then clean my grid. Clean your grid as often as you can. If you have trouble like I am now, if there's too much fiber, you can pry it out with the tip of your knife, like I'm doing here. Oh, there's a lot of fiber. I'm going to check my cutter this time. And again, clean both sides of your grid. And I want to point out that for greens, I'm using the J grid, J for juice. A smaller grid would be okay, but for greens this is your best grid. So we'll put that back in. Let's check the cutter. Unplug the thermometer. Check the cutter. Oh, it's not bad, but there is some fiber on there that's creating a problem, so we'll take that off. Put this back on, and now I'm going to start with my collard greens. I'll roll that up into a tube. last of my turmeric in. And then my garlic. My ginger goes next, and I have one avocado pit, might as well throw that in there. I bet you didn't know that avocado pits have nutrition. I'm going to do my zucchinis next, but they're all too big for the feed tube, so I'm going to cut them into quarters. And I'll feed my zucchinis in a few at a time. Here's the last of my kale, so we'll put one cucumber through. Then I'm going to clean my grid and start with my carrots. Clean both sides. Get all that fiber off. Use your finger to scrape off the fiber off your knife. Reassemble, and we'll continue with carrots. Now when you have small carrots, you put them end to end, big end to small end. You get 2 or 3 at a one time through. Now you can see I've got too many carrots and my bowl is overflowing. So what I'm going to do is scoop some of this produce out with how many cups is this? 4 cups, and put it into the secondary container, because I don't want too much produce into this one bowl. Well, that's much better, and I can finish off the rest of my carrots. Picked a few too many greens this time. Now here's the last of my carrots. And before I finish, I want to point out one thing. The front-loading feed tube makes it possible to see if there's any unshred produce in here, and I can guarantee you there always is, whether you can see it or not. So I'm going to put a couple of handfuls of carrot pulp in here and force the very last of the produce through. And next what I'll do is clean the grid and the grid holder and the feed tube and make some juice. Now every juicer sold by Whole Health Foundation comes with a cleaning brush, and I use this to clean the feed tube and the juicer. And what I'm going to do, and you can use a damp towel if you don't have a spray nozzle like I do, but I'm cleaning the front with a spray nozzle. Then I'm going to reassemble my clean parts. Put my cutter on top with the hole down so it can air out. I mix my greens with my carrots, get a thorough mix. I found that if you rotate your bowl in both directions, you get a better mix. Now we'll take the cloths, put it in the folding tray, and I'm pulling my tray out a little so that the cloths don't touch the countertop. You want to emphasize cleanliness whenever possible. So we'll begin by putting 3 huge scoops of pulp into each cloth. Now whenever you have carrot in your pulp mix, you don't need a bamboo liner because carrots prevent the pulp from sticking to your cloth. If you did only fruit juice or only green juice, you would need a bamboo liner. So we'll set that aside. 3 more scoops. Now watch closely my folding technique. I'm going to do this a little slower. One flap goes over into thirds like they came in the package. A little crease at the back. Pull the front flap under with my fingers like so. I'm going slowly so you can see, and make as tight a package as you can. And next we'll put this in the juicer and start making juice. We'll continue folding pulp in the rest of these cloths. 3 scoops. Now that noise you hear at the top is the bypass valve. There's nothing to worry about. It's very normal. Now my 6-cloth less work method. This goes forward, this goes over, the spent cloths go on top, 2 more cloths go in the press, centered left to right, centered front to back, adjust if need be, all the way back, back it off a little bit. Now before I fill more cloths, I'm going to take this pulp, pour it into the collection bowl and mix it again. We made a little too much pulp this time, but this is my method for not wasting anything and mixing it so that we get a fairly homogeneous mix. 2 scoops on top of the spent pulp. And since this is my last cloth, I'll advance that all the way. Pull it into a tight package. The tighter the better. Flatten it. Set it aside. Now here's my less work 6-cloth method again. This goes forward. This goes over. The spent cloths go on top. 2 more cloths in the press. Centered left to right. Centered front to back. All the way back. Back it off a little bit. Now again, 2 scoops on top. Goes over, the spent cloths go on top. Now this juice container is much too full to risk pressing 2 more cloths, so what I'm going to do to prevent this from dripping on the countertop is set it back, but not a little, a lot. You want it to be very obvious. When people have set this back a little, and I've done it, you forget and you damage your tray if you don't have it on the press plate properly. So all the way back and back it off. Let's fill some bottles. Now I'm filming this from the back side so the camera can get a good look. And I'm going to leave about 10% for filtered water or distilled water. I use distilled water because I have a water distiller. Down to my last cloth. So I'm going to use a spatula to get all of this precious pulp out of here, most of which I grew myself. I'll put this aside, advance that all the way. Just crossing my fingers, hoping this last cloth is not too full of pulp. Now what I'm going to do with these spent cloths of pulp is I'm going to repackage it and show you how the Whole Health Foundation Premium Model Juicer can make 10% more juice. So make sure that's on the tray, centered left to right, centered front to back, all the way back. Back it off a little bit. Now I'm going to fold this spent pulp into a tight package, repackage it. Watch my folding technique. Fold that under 2 or 3 or 4 times. And do that in both directions to make a very, very tight package. Turn it upside down, flatten it, and do the same with all the cloths. Now what I'm going to do now is take these repackaged pulp packets, put it in the tray in the center, and see how much more juice we got from the pulp that was already pressed using the Whole Health Foundation premium model juicer. So all the way back, I'm going to back it off a little bit. I don't want this to go up too fast. So I'm repackaging this a second time. Normally that's not necessary, but in this case there's a lot of pulp in there. Advance that all the way. So far 12 ounces. That's a whole bottle of juice. It looks like we're going to get almost 18 ounces of juice. Well, there's 17. Let's see how much is left in this tray. There's 18 ounces of juice. Well, 1 and a bit more bottles of juice. Now I folded all the cloths and I'm going to press the water out, and what almost everyone fails to do is clean this upper plate. So let's press the water out, put them in a freezer bag and into the freezer. All the way back. There we go. Now we'll put these in a freezer bag and put them in the freezer. The reason we put them in the freezer is germs cannot grow in the freezer. I'm filling these bottles right to the top so there's no air in the bottle whatsoever. And then we'll cap this off and put it in the fridge. And we came up with 15 bottles of juice and enough for a taste test. Well, my friends, let's taste this Garden Harvest juice. Well, actually it's pretty good, much sweeter than I thought. I can definitely taste the bite of the watercress, but fortunately I only put in a handful, and the French sorrel has sweetened up the juice considerably, considering all the greens we had. Well, I hope you like what you've seen, my friends, and if you do, please tell a friend. If you'd like to call me, my phone number is 760-753-0321. My email address is developtrust@cox.net, and my webpage is wholehealthbound.com. I'll see you in the next video. Oh, that's delicious.